I think I'll use the 2 hours to explore along beside the lake. So, I turned around and walked off along the side of the lake. I walked along beside the edge of the lake for a long time. While walking was pleasant, the lake was beautiful, and there were plenty of trees to keep me company. I eventually reached a place where there were no trees along the edge of the lake. So I decided to stop, turn around, and take a good look at the lake and the mountains on the far side. I was truly amazed at what I saw. The mountain on the far side of the lake was truly beautiful. I could see trees growing on the mountain way up high. I could look off to my right and see the lake stretching off far into the distance. I then turned to my left and could see that the lake stretched off as far as my eyes could see. I was thinking about turning around and starting my long walk back. When way off in the distance, I saw a place where it looked like the lake went off into my potato patch. I decided that I just had to check this out before I turned for home. So I took off and continued my walk along the lake. After another long walk, I reached the place where my lake went into my potato patch. When I finally arrived, I was truly overjoyed. I could clearly see the place where the lake went into the potato field. And where it went into the potato field, the lake looked just like a river. I decided to walk over and take a closer look. I stood there for a few moments and looked at where the lake went into the potato patch. I began to think about the river that went across the end of my potato patch. I was wondering if this was part of that same river. While I was contemplating this, something truly amazing happened. I saw a fish swim past me and go into the lake. The fish eventually disappeared from view. Eureka, I thought. That fish looked just like the fish I catch in my river. I bet that this lake becomes my river, which is the one that flows through the end of my potato patch. I will have to check that out someday. Seeing the fish swim into the lake is a great discovery. That means there must be fish living in the lake. I know how to catch fish that are in a river. Someday I will have to learn how to catch fish that are in the lake. All this thinking about fish has made me hungry. Although I ate 5 potatoes when I was on top of the mountain, I've really built up an appetite. I wish I had time to wait by the river here, and maybe I could catch a fish. But I think I'm running out of daylight. Time. When I decided to explore along beside the lake, I only had about 2 hours available. So far, I've used at least an hour of that. If I turn around right now and walk back towards my potato cellar as fast as I could, I just might be able to get back before the sun goes down. So I immediately turned around and took off back towards my potato cellar. I left the river and walked along beside the lake as fast as I could. While I walked along, I was able to appreciate this beautiful scenery. When I finally arrived at my snow-melted puddle, I turned to the right and headed for home. I quickly left the snow-covered mountains behind and started out across my potato patch. As the mountains got smaller and smaller, I once again found myself in a sea of green. As I crossed row after row of potatoes, the sun was getting ready to set. The sun got lower and lower, and these potatoes seemed to go on forever. I finally reached the center of my potato patch, turned left and headed for home. The sun was sinking fast. I finally reached my potato cellar and the sun was almost gone. Shortly after I got back, it got dark. That was a close call. I'm not sure I could find my way all the way across the potato field after dark and without my torch. I immediately realized that I was starved. The long walk off to the right, to the far side of my potato patch, the climb up the snow-covered mountain, the climb down the mountain, and the walk around the lake area had used up a lot of energy. So far today, I've only eaten 5 potatoes. That's only half the number of potatoes that I need to eat every day to keep me healthy and keep me happy. But all this exploration I did today has used up an extra amount of energy. So I grabbed 10 potatoes out of the potato cellar and ate them up. That really hit the spot. Now that my belly is full, it's time to head back to the cave. After I walked back to the cave, I decided to think about today's activities. Today was the second day of my 2-day weekend. It was a day of exploration, and I discovered a lot. I truly have much to be grateful for. I traveled to the far right side of my potato patch. I had never been there before. That's where I discovered my beautiful lake. And on the far side of the lake, I discovered my snow-covered mountains. I climbed the mountains and played in the snow. I also discovered that snow is cold. When I came down the mountain, I discovered that my valley was warm. I then found out that warm valleys melt cold snow. I explored around my lake and discovered that it sent a river into my potato patch. I then discovered that fish swim out of the river and into the lake. That means there are fish living in the lake. Fish living in the lake may mean more food for me. So all things considered, this 2-day weekend has been an outstanding success. I've made many fine new discoveries that should improve my life. And I'm so glad that I invested the time in exploring my world. I then realized that tomorrow is the first day of my 5-day work week. Tomorrow will be a salt gathering trip. It's going to be a long, hard day. I need to go into the cave and get some sleep. I was really tired and I fell right to sleep. My sleep was deep and peaceful and lasted all through the night.